Imagine you're standing in front of a mirror. You look at the reflection and see something you don't like. What do? Most people try to change the mirror, attempt to manipulate the reflected image, without realizing that the reflection itself cannot be directly altered. And that's exactly how many live their lives. They struggle to modify the external scenery, a dissatisfying job, a strained relationship, a stagnant financial situation, without realizing that the true point of transformation is not in the reflection, but in the observer. If your reality seems trapped in an endless cycle of repetitions, perhaps the issue isn't out there, but in how you perceive it. What are you really projecting to the world? Today we'll explore the mirror principle, a spiritual law that reveals that life doesn't show you what you desire, but rather what you believe to be true about yourself. If the observer doesn't change, the reality remains exactly the same. In this video, you'll discover why the mirror never lies and how the key to transforming any situation lies in shifting the vibrational frequency you're emitting right now. Are you ready to break the repetitive cycle and see a new reflection? Then let's begin. What is the mirror principle? The mirror principle is one of the most powerful spiritual laws and, at the same time, one of the most challenging to grasp. It states that the external reality is a direct reflection of the internal state of the observer. In other words, what you see around you is not just a random set of circumstances, but a vibrational projection of the energy you're holding within. What does this mean? It means that the external world, with all its nuances, people, situations, and challenges, is a perfect mirror of what you believe to be true about yourself and life. Imagine a projector in a dark room. It displays images on a screen, but the origin of those images isn't the screen itself, it's the projector. Likewise, what you experience in the external world is merely a projection of the beliefs, emotions, and thoughts you hold within. And just like a projector, the mind operates ceaselessly, broadcasting internal images that materialize as external experiences. The mirror principle is not about physical effort or attempting to control external circumstances. No matter how hard you try to change the screen, the image won't change as long as the projector keeps displaying the same film. The secret lies in understanding that real change doesn't happen in the reflection, but in the observer. The vibration you emit, consciously or unconsciously, is the origin point of everything you experience. The law of reflection is relentless. It doesn't judge, discriminate, or take sides. It simply reflects back the energy you're emitting. If you're holding on to thoughts of lack, insecurity, or fear, the world around you will manifest situations that confirm those internal states. Conversely, if you maintain a vibration of confidence, abundance, and peace, reality will reflect those same qualities. This concept can be unsettling for many because it implies that we are entirely responsible for the circumstances we face. But at the same time, it grants us immense power. The power to transform the reflection by changing the source. Instead of trying to control external images, we can turn our gaze inward and adjust the vibration we are emitting. This doesn't mean ignoring external difficulties or pretending they don't exist. It means recognizing that the true point of power lies in the frequency you choose to sustain. When we deeply understand the mirror principle, we begin to see life with new eyes. Every situation, no matter how challenging, ceases to be an external obstacle and becomes a precise reflection of what's happening within our inner world. And from this new perspective, we can begin to rewrite the script we are projecting onto the mirror of life. After all, the mirror never lies. It only reflects the vibration you hold the longest. Why do most people try to change the reflection instead of the observer? Most people spend their lives trying to change the reflection instead of changing the observer. They believe that if they adjust the external scene, the job, the relationships, the bank account, they will finally find peace and satisfaction. But what they don't realize is that this approach is like trying to manipulate the image in the mirror without touching what stands before it. The mirror cannot be altered without the observer changing. The conditioned mind is programmed to believe that reality happens from the outside in. We are taught to seek external solutions for internal problems, to believe that if we can control the environment, people, and circumstances, we will finally be happy. This cycle creates an endless pattern of seeking and frustration because the reflection can only return what we are projecting. If the internal vibration doesn't change, the external scene remains the same, like a film that continues to play despite changing the screen. Imagine someone who is constantly dissatisfied with their relationships. This person may change partners, move to a new city, or even adopt new habits. But inevitably, the same patterns keep resurfacing. Why? Because the source of the reflection hasn't changed. The observer is still holding on to the same beliefs, fears, and expectations that created the previous scenarios. Another common example is financial situations. How many people struggle to earn more money, work overtime, take courses, but their financial reality remains stagnant? They are trying to change the reflection, trying to manipulate the screen without realizing that the true source of the problem is a deeply rooted belief in lack or unworthiness. Until this internal vibration is adjusted, the external reality will keep mirroring the same limitations. The resistance to changing the observer occurs because the ego is deeply identified with the reflection. It believes the source of discomfort is outside, in circumstances, other people, external conditions. But the mirror principle teaches that everything we see is an energetic return of what we sustain internally. Thus, trying to change the reflection without changing the observer is like trying to outrun your own shadow. No matter how fast you run, it will continue to follow you because it is merely an extension of what you are. True transformation occurs when we let go of the need to control the reflection and start examining the vibration we are emitting. Instead of asking, "Why won't this situation change?" we begin to ask, "What part of me is sustaining this reality? What beliefs, thoughts, and emotions are creating this reflection?" This is the moment when personal power is reclaimed as attention shifts from the outside world to the observer. Until this understanding is fully integrated, the cycle of repetition will continue. The reflection may even change temporarily, but without a genuine internal adjustment, old patterns will resurface. The key is to recognize that the mirror of reality is not an enemy to be fought, but a messenger to be deciphered. It is not there to punish or challenge you, but to show you precisely where the change needs to happen. Not in the reflection, but in the observer. What is your reality really showing? Identifying the reflection of reality is one of the most challenging steps on the path to self-awareness. This is because most of the time, we are so immersed in external situations that we end up believing they occur randomly or without any connection to our internal state. But the truth is that reality is a precise mirror, constantly reflecting what we are emitting in terms of vibration, beliefs, and emotional patterns. To understand what your reality is truly showing, you need to look at the cycles that keep repeating. Observe the relationships in your life. What patterns seem to repeat? Perhaps you always attract emotionally unavailable partners, or maybe you struggle to maintain harmonious, stable connections. These cycles are not coincidences. They are reflections of internal beliefs you hold about love, self-worth, or the fear of rejection. The universe is not trying to punish or test you. It is merely returning the frequency you are sustaining. If you unconsciously believe that you are not worthy of love, or that people will always abandon you, that will be the dominant vibration that the mirror of life will reflect back to you. Another classic example relates to financial situations. Many people live in a continuous cycle of lack, no matter how hard they work or seek new opportunities. They struggle to improve their income, but something seems to keep them stuck in financial limitation. This pattern is a clear reflection of internal beliefs about money, worthiness, and abundance. Maybe you were taught early on that money is hard to earn or that rich people are greedy. These beliefs remain stored in the subconscious and, without you realizing it, are projected onto the mirror of reality, creating circumstances that confirm these limiting ideas. The emotional field is also a powerful indicator of what is being projected internally. If you live in a constant state of anxiety, worry, or resentment, reality will tend to reflect situations that perpetuate these emotions. Annoying people, recurring conflicts, unexpected setbacks. All of these are vibrational mirrors of the emotions you are feeding. Reality cannot manifest peace if internally you are vibrating in chaos. The key to identifying the reflection is to adopt an observational stance without judgment. Instead of asking why situations are the way they are, ask yourself what they are trying to show you about your internal state. Life is a vibrational field that responds to your frequency, not to your words or desires. Therefore, instead of focusing on changing the external scenery, begin to investigate what you are sustaining internally that continues to be reflected outward. Allow yourself to observe the cycles that bother you the most. What situations keep repeating? What emotions are constantly triggered? What people or circumstances seem to keep returning to your life, even when you try to avoid them? Each of these occurrences is a direct reflection of an internal state that has yet to be transformed. And here's the good news. The mirror doesn't lie, but it also doesn't punish. It simply reflects what is being projected. And by becoming aware of what is being reflected, you reclaim the power to change the source, yourself. From this new understanding, reality ceases to be seen as a battlefield and starts to be recognized as a neutral mirror, a screen that only returns the image you sustain the longest. When you understand that nothing is happening against you, but rather for you, you begin to see every situation as an opportunity to reassess your internal vibration. This is the turning point where true change begins, not in the reflection, but in the observer. How your beliefs create the visible reality. The source of the reflection is always in the observer, and what they sustain internally is projected outward as a film being displayed on a screen. However, most people are unaware of the role their beliefs play in creating the visible reality. They look at external circumstances and believe they are trapped in a series of random or predestined events, without realizing that everything they experience is an exact mirror of what they are emitting vibrationally. Beliefs are like lenses through which we view the world. They filter reality and shape perception, creating an energetic field that attracts experiences that confirm these internal concepts. If someone holds the belief that life is a constant struggle, they will attract situations that reinforce difficulty and effort. They will encounter obstacles, challenges, and people who seem to block their progress. This doesn't happen because life is against them, but because the mirror of reality can only reflect what they believe to be true. Imagine someone who believes they are unworthy of love. They may even seek romantic relationships, but unconsciously they will sabotage their connections or attract emotionally unavailable partners. This person may try to change the situation externally, but as long as the belief in unworthiness is active, the reflection will remain the same. In this case, the problem isn't the partners or the lack of opportunities, but the source projecting this reality, the belief in unworthiness. The same applies to financial situations. Someone who believes that money is hard to earn will always attract circumstances that confirm this perception. They might receive a promotion, but then an unexpected expense arises, consuming the extra income. They might get a new job, only to discover that the salary is insufficient to cover their needs. Reality is merely reflecting the vibration sustained the longest, the belief in struggle, lack, or hardship. And how are these beliefs formed? Often they are established in childhood when we absorb ideas from parents, society, and the environment in which we grow up. If you repeatedly heard that money doesn't grow on trees or that men and women can't be trusted, these phrases become mental programs that operate in the background, creating an energetic field that attracts experiences compatible with those concepts. But the most challenging aspect is that many of these beliefs are at the subconscious level, operating without our awareness. They manifest as automatic thoughts, recurring feelings, and impulsive behaviors. You might tell yourself that you want financial abundance, but if deep down you believe that money corrupts or that you don't deserve prosperity, reality will continue to mirror the dominant vibration. The central point here is to realize that the source of the reflection is not what you say or consciously desire, but what you truly believe to be true about yourself and the world. And these beliefs cannot be masked or ignored. The mirror of reality will faithfully reflect what you are emitting. That is why so many people struggle to change external circumstances without success. They are trying to adjust the reflection without altering the source projecting it. Real change occurs when you start identifying the beliefs operating in the background of your vibrational field. What automatic thoughts arise when you face a challenge? What emotions repeat themselves when you encounter an obstacle? These responses are the keys to understanding what is being projected, and consequently, what is being reflected. Once you become aware of the source, you gain the ability to reprogram the mind, replacing limiting beliefs with new concepts that reflect the reality you want to experience. And when the source changes, the reflection will inevitably change as well. The mirror has no will of its own. It simply responds to the frequency you sustain. Therefore, the question is not when reality will change, but when you will start emitting a new vibration, one that is aligned with the life you truly want to live. Where the observer begins to transform. The point of change occurs the moment the observer stops identifying with the reflection and starts looking at themselves. It's when they realize that the external reality is merely an echo of what they are sustaining internally and decide to interrupt the cycle of reactivity. This moment is not grand or dramatic. On the contrary, it arises in a moment of profound clarity, almost silent, where the observer finally recognizes that the problem is not in the reflection, but in the vibration being emitted. Shifting the point of observation is like stepping off a stage where you were unconsciously acting and sitting in the audience to watch the play. Suddenly, you can see the patterns that were once hidden by your identification with the scene. You realize that certain situations that keep repeating in your life are, in fact, automatic responses to beliefs and emotions you have been sustaining for years. At this moment, transformation begins to happen. Not because the external reality has changed, but because you are now willing to see the source. Imagine being trapped in a cycle of conflicts in relationships. For years, you believed the people around you were the problem. They don't understand you, don't value you, or don't reciprocate the way you expect. But when you step away from identifying with the reflection, you begin to see that these conflicts are merely mirroring an internal pattern of lack or fear of rejection. This realization is the turning point. There is no need to do anything immediate with this awareness. Simply observe it without trying to change it. Just acknowledge, this is a reflection, it's not a sentence. This approach may seem simple, but it is extremely powerful. By interrupting reactivity and adopting a stance of conscious observation, you disrupt the vibrational cycle that was feeding that situation. You stop reacting to the reflection and start investigating what you are projecting. This is the first step to altering the frequency you are emitting and consequently to attracting new circumstances. Another example occurs in the financial realm. Perhaps you are stuck in a cycle of lack, struggling to get out of debt or reach a level of prosperity that always seems to slip away. At this point of change, you stop blaming the market, the economy, or external opportunities, and start observing what beliefs are sustaining this reality. You may unconsciously be holding on to a feeling of unworthiness or a belief that money is hard to come by. When this perception emerges, something begins to crack within you. The identification with lack starts to crumble. The point of change also involves a conscious surrender. Instead of trying to manipulate external reality to align with your desires, you accept that the reflection is simply showing what you are emitting. This acceptance is not resignation, but an act of power. Because by accepting that you are the source of the projection, you reclaim control over the narrative. The mistake many make at this stage is trying to force the reflection to change without genuinely altering the internal vibration. They try to think positively, repeat affirmations, or look for quick techniques to attract a new scenario. But without a genuine shift in the internal state, the reflection will revert to the same. This is why the point of change does not involve physical effort, but a new way of looking at one's own vibration. True transformation happens when you stop trying to manipulate the screen and start observing the projector. When you stop reacting to the reflection and begin to investigate what you are sustaining within. This transition may seem subtle, but it represents a quantum leap in consciousness. Because when you step out of identifying with the reflection and step into the position of a conscious observer, you begin to change the point of origin. And when the source changes, inevitably, the reflection will also change. changing the internal vibration. The mirror technique is a powerful method for transforming internal vibration and consequently altering the external reflection that reality is projecting. In essence, this technique involves using reality itself as an indicator of the internal state, and from that observation, consciously adjusting the vibrational frequency being emitted. But unlike other practices, the mirror technique doesn't involve an effort to change the external world. It focuses exclusively on changing the source, the observer. Imagine you're going through a financial challenge. Bills are piling up, opportunities seem scarce, and the feeling of lack is intensifying. The first impulse is to act on the external scenario, seek desperate solutions, or enter a state of constant anxiety. But the mirror technique asks you to do the opposite. Instead of trying to change the reflection, close your eyes and turn inward. Sit in a quiet place, close your eyes and visualize the situation that seems unchanging. It could be the balance in your bank account, a difficult conversation, or a persistent conflict. Feel the emotion that this situation triggers in you. Maybe it's fear, anger, frustration, or insecurity. Don't try to escape from this feeling. Allow yourself to fully experience what is emerging. This step is crucial as we often try to suppress or ignore unpleasant emotions without realizing that they are sustaining the vibration that continues to be reflected externally. Now ask yourself, how would my new self, the one already aligned with abundance and peace, respond to this situation? Instead of trying to find an immediate solution, feel the vibration of this new state. If you were already living the reality you desire, what would the internal feeling be like? The idea here is not to create a fantasy or illusion, but to energetically align with the vibration you wish to sustain. Stay in this state for a few minutes, allowing the new frequency to settle in your energetic field. Visualize the challenging situation again, but now from the perspective of the new vibrational state. Instead of anxiety, you feel confidence. Instead of fear, you feel peace. Instead of frustration, you feel gratitude. This internal adjustment is what begins to reconfigure the projection that will be reflected in the mirror of reality. The mirror technique works because reality does not respond to your words or actions, but to the vibration you are emitting. When you change the internal frequency, the external field will inevitably begin to rearrange itself to reflect this new energy. But here's the essential point. The mirror doesn't change instantly. It may take some time for the new vibration to manifest externally. During this period, it's common for the mind to try to sabotage the process, questioning whether anything is really changing. This is the ultimate test of the mirror technique, to remain in the new vibrational state even if the reflection still appears the same. Instead of despairing over the apparent lack of results, continue reinforcing the internal vibration. Reaffirm the feeling of confidence, peace, or abundance, even if the external circumstances haven't yet changed. This is not self-deception, it is vibrational reprogramming. The mirror of reality is neutral. It doesn't judge, choose sides, or have preferences. It simply reflects back what you are energetically sustaining. Thus, when you commit to maintaining the new vibration, the external reflection will inevitably begin to align with that frequency. Small signs will start to appear, synchronicities, new opportunities, unexpected encounters. And it is at this point that you will realize the mirror has finally begun to adjust to your new internal vibration. The mirror technique is not about passive visualization or superficial positive thinking. It involves a genuine commitment to sustaining the new vibration, even in the face of contradictory evidence. It is an act of faith, but not blind faith. It is the confidence that external reality is not fixed, but is merely a dynamic reflection of the vibration you choose to emit. When this choice becomes conscious and intentional, the mirror of life begins to project a new reality aligned with the highest version of yourself. When reality begins to align with the new observer, the first signs can be subtle. Often, people expect drastic and immediate changes, but the truth is that the mirror of reality takes time to reflect the new internal vibration. The external field is still reverberating with the old frequencies that were emitted for so long, and it is precisely in this gap between the new internal state and the external reflection that patience and persistence are tested. The first indication that reality is starting to align with the new observer appears in the form of small synchronicities. Suddenly, you begin to notice repeated patterns, recurring numbers, conversations that seem to answer internal questions, unexpected encounters that bring new opportunities. These events are not coincidences. They are the beginning of the vibrational reorganization that is starting to manifest. It's as if the matrix of reality is gradually adjusting to reflect the new frequency you are sustaining. In addition to synchronicities, another important sign is the feeling of inner peace, even if the external circumstances haven't visibly changed. When you begin to align with a new vibrational state, anxiety and despair start to subside. You realize that you are no longer reacting to situations with the same intensity as before. There is an internal space, a sense of presence that didn't exist before. This is a clear sign that the new observer is anchoring in the new frequency. But not all signs are positive. Sometimes vibrational change triggers a rebound effect. Old situations may resurface, people from the past may reappear, and challenges you thought you had already overcome may intensify. This does not mean you are regressing. On the contrary, it is a sign that the new vibration is starting to destabilize the old structures. Imagine you are tuning a radio to a new station. In the process, you might hear noise and interference until the signal stabilizes. Similarly, the external reality may seem chaotic for a while as the vibrational field adjusts. At this point, the mind may try to convince you that nothing is changing. You may feel the urge to give up and revert to old patterns, believing the new vibrational state is not working, but this is precisely the moment when faith must be maintained. The mirror of reality is only reflecting the energetic transition you are going through. Persisting in the new vibration is essential, even if the reflection still seems the same. Another subtle but powerful sign is the shift in the quality of interactions. People who once seemed indifferent start to approach you. New connections emerge, unexpected opportunities appear, and situations that were once stagnant begin to move. This occurs because the new vibration is attracting experiences and people that are in tune with the new internal state. And this is the confirmation that the external field is finally reorganizing to reflect the new frequency. However, it is crucial to understand that reality does not fully align instantly. Just as a stone thrown into a lake creates waves that ripple outward, the new vibration creates an impact that reverberates through the external field. Some waves reach the surface immediately, while others take a bit longer to manifest. This is the natural process of conscious creation. Therefore, during this phase, it is essential to remain anchored in the new vibrational state without being swayed by appearances. Even if the reflection still shows traces of the old pattern, the inner certainty must be maintained. Every small sign, every synchronicity, and every feeling of peace are confirmations that reality is in the process of alignment. When you truly internalize this understanding, the desperation for external manifestation begins to dissolve. The urgency for immediate results gives way to trust in the process. And, paradoxically, it is precisely when you release the need to see the change that it begins to manifest more evidently. Because at that point, the new observer is no longer reacting to the reflection. They are fully aware that reality is merely a mirror of the vibration they choose to sustain. And when this choice becomes stable, reality has no choice but to align with this new frequency. Stay in this state for a few minutes without rushing. Gradually, you will begin to notice that the field around you is not empty. It is charged with subtle vibrations, impressions, and messages that previously went unnoticed. You may feel the presence of someone without seeing them physically. You may sense a feeling or intention that was not expressed in words. These perceptions are fragments of the vibrational reality, signs that the inner vision is beginning to activate. To close the practice, slowly bring your attention back to the physical body. Feel your feet firmly planted on the ground, your breath flowing gently, your heart pulsing at the center of your chest. Open your eyes slowly, but maintain this sense of silent presence. Notice that even with your eyes open, the vibrational perception remains active, allowing you to see beyond form, beyond the surface. This technique is not about reaching a mystical state or experiencing spectacular visions. It is a training of vibrational perception, an exercise that, when practiced consistently, sharpens sensitivity to perceive what lies beyond the veil. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to remain in this state of silent presence, accessing the vibrational field without the interference of the conditioned mind. Now that you have completed the practical application of the technique, it is important to integrate this perception into daily life. Inner vision is not limited to meditative practice. It can be used at any moment, when conversing with someone, walking down the street, or observing a landscape. Whenever you feel the mind taking control, return to the center of the chest, feel the vibrational field, and allow perception to go beyond the physical eyes. In the next step, we will explore what to expect after practicing the technique, how vibrational perception manifests in everyday life, and what signs indicate that the inner vision is truly awakening. Are you ready to continue this journey? Because what comes next may reveal a new level of perception that will transform the way you see reality. We have reached the end of our journey, but the true beginning is just unfolding. Now you know that the external reality is not a fixed scenario, but a vibrational mirror of what you are sustaining internally. The reflection doesn't lie. It simply returns the frequency you emit. So if you want to see a new scenario, stop trying to change the mirror. Instead, turn to the source, the observer. In the coming days, practice the mirror technique. Observe every situation as a reflection of your current vibration. Reflect on recurring patterns and ask yourself, what am I emitting for this to keep manifesting? And then consciously choose a new vibration. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments, write, today I choose to change my vibration and align with the reality I wish to manifest. Declare this intention publicly. This is the first step in starting to reprogram your frequency and allowing the mirror of reality to finally show a new reflection.